Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Fargo Season 5, Episode 6 reaction and review. We are now officially past the halfway point of this
Mhm.
season, and this is an episode that's certainly not one I expected. I did not expect we were going to have a full episode that did not have Juno Temple really in it at all.
No, outside of those photos, which we will talk about
Yeah,
in this video, she wasn't in this episode at all.
yeah. But what we did get, I think, is a lot of setup. Like, this is really an episode about, okay, here's where certain players are kind of lining up. We
Mhm,
have Munch, we have Roy,
mhm.
we have Lorraine. We spent a little bit of time in this episode with Vivian, who, as a character, isn't necessarily like that important, but Vivian is basically caught in this tangled web that both Roy and Lorraine are trying to weave. And I'm actually pretty stoked for the inevitable heavyweight battle between these two characters.
Oh, yeah, the Lorraine versus Roy that was going on in this episode was wild. The whole, I'm basically gonna take away this purchase of this bank. Okay, cool. I'm gonna ruin your life. I'm gonna ruin this banker's life. And then, Roy, I'm gonna ruin your election. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's a really good reminder of like how much power does a position give you versus how
Yep.
much power does having a lot of money give you,
Yep.
because both Lorraine and Roy think that they are titans of their own industry. We already know that Roy Tillman is Mr. I am the law. I can
Hmm.
do whatever I want. Look how big my cowboy hat is. Like, he is all about all of this stuff. And Lorraine thinks that she's untouchable to the point where she has that sign that says no in her office. And she's willing and able to basically just call somebody up and do or say anything. And in a blink of an eye, she's going to get what she wants.
Yeah, it's crazy how much power both of them think they have and how much they actually do have. But before we get into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps support Matt and I here at the channel. And that way you don't miss any of our other Fargo videos. Also, True Detective coming up
Yes.
next month. If you're looking forward to that, so are we. So
Yeah.
thank you very much to everyone who has subscribed.
Also, if you want weekly live streams all about Fargo starting on January 1st, be sure to join our Patreon.
Mhm.
We have a link in the description below. We have such a good time doing those, and we want you guys to be a part of the discussion because I know there's going to be so much crazy stuff before Fargo wraps up here.
Okay, Roy versus Lorraine. Who do you guys think is going to win this battle? Matt, what
Uh,
about you?
I'm Team Lorraine, and I'm not Team Lorraine in the sense that I think Lorraine is a good person, because I think Lorraine is a very bad person. However, I think that scene at the very, very end of this episode is a real test of, okay, is there some element of morality in there for this character? Yes, we know Lorraine is capable of calling up bankers, threatening their kids, doing whatever she needs to do in order to get deals
Oh,
done.
yeah.
Like, she is ruthless.
Yeah.
And there's an entertaining element of craziness there, but amidst all the craziness and kind of the dark comedy that Fargo can bring, like, these pictures of Dot are just horrifying. Like, that is just pure darkness.
I could barely get through that. I mean, by the time she got to that second photo, I had to just turn away. Like,
Yeah.
it was bad. And I mean, you could see it on Lorraine's face. She's a tough woman. She's seen a lot, but
Yeah.
when she saw that, even her hard shell shattered.
I think it was a necessary thing for this show to do, as horrible as it was to watch, just because if you've got this character that's kind of been presented in this over the top, larger than life way, you had to sort of present a shock to their system in order to get them to see the reality of what is actually happening. And that really brought us all to that place where I think Lorraine now has to take a step back and realize, does she like Dot? No, and I don't think she ever will like Dot. She's also a really protective mother. She's always going to probably think that whoever her son is with, like, that they're not good enough. But this is also still, her daughter-in-law. This is
Mhm.
also still a part of her family. And
Yeah.
while I don't necessarily think she's going to be Team Dot moving forward, I think she's going to be even more willing to be against Roy. And I don't think she's necessarily going to try to destroy Dot in the process.
It's just going to be interesting to see if, money versus power and influence, who's really going to win in this. Because we did see Roy be able to pull that banking deal the way that he did, but then we saw Lorraine jump in and basically be like, I don't want your banking deal anyways, and now I've ruined your life as well as I'm going after Roy as well. But is it going to be enough? Is Roy going to be able to find a way to pivot? Because it seems like he's always been able to find a way to pivot or find a way to put those skeletons back in his closet. Like, is she my real worry? And she's really ruthless. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I hate myself for even having to say this. This is my
All right.
tinfoil hat. Is she going to do something as ruthless as using these photos or what Dot has gone through to destroy Roy and get him into a spot where he has no power whatsoever at all to hurt Dot or anyone ever again, but it's at the expense of Dot and something that she obviously doesn't want. I really don't want to see the show go in that direction, but this show will make you really uncomfortable. It just is.
Yeah, it's all going to be in service of whatever story that Noah Hawley is trying to tell here. And
Yeah.
if the story is, how far are certain characters willing to go in order to see their desired result? Like, this is one of two roads that Lorraine could take. Like, certainly this is not the road that I want to see her go down. And I don't think anyone wants to see that. I think that she's either going to be looking at doing something like that or throwing so much money at another candidate out there, which I know she's not in that particular area, but so she'll have to go and find somebody. She'll have to give them a lot of money. She'll have to try to figure out some other sort of way to, besmirch whatever quote unquote legacy that Roy really has there. And it might be a little bit of a tough sell, especially if it's like, oh, there's all this out of this area money coming in. Somebody's trying to influence, our election. I can easily see Roy trying to amplify all of that and whatever campaign is going on there. But I think there are ways that Lorraine can do this that don't require her to release those photos. I just think it comes down to whether or not she's going to be willing to do that, because it will probably cost her a chunk of her bank account.
I just don't know with Lorraine. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Is like, I know that she will want to protect her family, and by releasing those photos, that does not protect her family. But it's mostly Dot. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, she's so on the fence with Dot, where she doesn't like Dot, but I think she respects Dot a little more than she did before. But it is the mother of her grandchild, the wife of her son. It's such a complicated situation. But Lorraine strikes me as somebody who will do whatever it takes, will ruin anybody's life to get what she needs. We just watched her do that with Vivian, who is not somebody part of her family, obviously, so it's a different situation. But would she do that to somebody that's in her family? I think she probably would, but I don't think she's going to.
Okay, so here's another sort of part of this that makes this even more complicated, because I think an obvious sort of question here is just that, why aren't you trying to find a way to use the police even beyond everything that we've already seen? Like, it's obviously clear already, the police has some evidence, and it's already clear here on some level that, okay, you know what, the police, and we've even seen there's investigations going on into Roy as it is.
Yes.
So why are you not just trying to push all of that further and take Roy down in that way? And then the problem then, of course, just comes down to, obviously, he's the sheriff. He's got a lot of power. It's going to be hard to get somebody down. You're going to need like overwhelming evidence. And then beyond all that, if you try and you fail, he's going to use that in the campaign. He's going to go out there and be like, they're trying to stop me. He's going to like, there is just going to be this big ambiguous sort of entity, but he is really going to try to exploit whatever is thrown at him in whatever way. And that's what makes this situation so dicey, that even if there is concrete evidence of things, you got to get it to that other level where it's something that he can't run from, he can't escape from, he can't find any sort of way to slither out of. And that's difficult, even if you are as rich as Lorraine is.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that even if there's a mountain of evidence, even if Dot's like, you know what, I'll testify to what's happened. I mean, we've seen on tons of TV shows and in life where that happens and still nothing is really done about it. And with it being that Roy is the sheriff and everybody's sort of under his thumb and willing to do anything for him, don't tell me he doesn't have judges in his pocket as well. Like, it just feels like his pockets are deep.
Okay. Now that we've talked about some very difficult and painful things in this episode, it's time for a rant.
All right.
I hate Indira's husband. This man sucks.
Oh, he's such a
so
tool
much.
bag. Oh my
Like-
goodness. And I think he's cheating on her. When he left the house after his whole rant about like, I want you to be a wife that cooks and cleans. Basically, he wants to be Roy Tillman. He wants his wife to just do whatever he wants, whenever he wants it, spend all the money and service him whenever he feels like it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I'm going to my physical therapy. Cologne.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you're not. Where is it you're actually going? You're cheating on her.
This guy has zero redeeming qualities. He spends all of his day pretending that he's a golfer, which apparently he sucks at so bad. He's not even mentioned, he hasn't mentioned doing anything when it comes to, oh, I'm actually going to this tournament, or oh, I'm actually doing this. It's, oh, I need to focus so I can sit in the garage and pretend to hit imaginary golf balls, or what. I can be as much of a golfer as this guy. I can go buy a video game or go like pull out my old Nintendo Wii and just like use the Wii remote to like knock the ball.
Goodness.
Like I am as effective as this guy who is an enormous loser in every single shape or form. Indira, just get away from this guy as fast as you can.
Yeah, I really hope that as much of a snake as Lorraine can be, I hope she takes that job and she just leaves her husband in the dust. Like, take the pay increase, let her help you with the debt, and be the head of her security. Like, yeah, your boss is Lorraine, but, you know, it sounds like she pays well.
It just, anything to get away from this awful person. And, you know, I'm also just happy that Scotty gets to reunite here with Wayne, because it's like, you don't have to be around him either now, Scotty. You deserve better. You can be with your father.
Oh, poor Wayne. He's really been through it. And I know his mind is still not all there. And like, even when he was like learning the truth about Dot, I was kind of like, how much of this is he really understanding or retaining? Like, I just feel like he's not really getting everything, but watching him reunite with Scotty and have Scotty just jump on his lap and be like, give him that big hug. Like, he needs that as part of his healing process.
Yeah, Wayne is, I think, a very good person. I think he wants to be there for Dot, and I think he will, regardless of anything else. It's just, he needs to take some time to figure all this out. And the unfortunate thing, and this is newsflash to Wayne, there is no time. Like, this is all moving 100 miles an hour. Like, we don't know where Dot is within this episode. The only thing we know is that she said that there was something she needed to take care of, and she left. And I mean, we can have theories aplenty as to whatever that was. Is she going to see somebody? Does she have some evidence out there that can take out Roy? Like, whatever it is, like, she feels this is essential enough that she's having to press pause on all of this, but it's leaving, you know, Wayne in this spot where he's really scrambling and flailing, and the only person who could really help him, I think, is Dot, and she's not there.
Okay, let's talk about Munch. Roy's decided that he is done with the bad luck Munch, and he is just paying him plus interest to be like, listen, we did you dirty. We tried to kill you. We didn't give you enough money. So here's a pile of money to make things right. And then who's got to be there to make things wrong again? Good old Gator is like spitting on his car and like putting a tracker under it. It's like, Gator, what are you doing? And why are you doing it? Let it go.
Gator is also a loser, but the difference
man.
between Gator and Indira's husband is that I like watching Gator. I have said this before. I'm not rooting for Gator, but he is compelling character because there's not much going on up here. He's like putting...
You're in the Gator game.
I am in the Gator game. Gator, let's just count the ways that Gator is terrible at his job in this episode. He takes the wrong person, basically gets the wrong person killed, who doesn't actually even look that much like Wayne, by the way.
No.
He's just like, okay, I'm just going to take this white guy who's kind of the same age as Wayne, and we're going to have him locked up. He has all the nonsense that's going on with Munch, which just feels like an absolute absolutely terrible idea. You have every conversation he has with Roy where I don't know what his defense was for really anything. It just sort of was just, hey, I'm trying to do my job, which is not a good enough explanation when you're talking to Roy Tillman.
No, and that's why it's so interesting that Roy's like, listen, okay, maybe not everything is your fault. You have an upside down horseshoe. Like everything
Yeah.
has gone sideways ever since we did Munch dirty. And then he left this sort of rune or whatever in my place. So let's just deal with him, put things right, and then things will be fine for you as well. And Gator's just like, nah, not on my watch. Instead, I'm gonna like pony up here to Munch, spit on his car, and put a tracker on it for no reason.
Gator, just go watch cartoons with Roy's other kids.
No.
Like, you would probably be more effective than whatever it is you were doing. And just the conversation between Roy and Munch was awkward enough because you basically have like Roy looking at these bulls and just being like, look at the size of that. And it's okay, you know, we have enough testosterone in this conversation. And they're sitting here and watching the two of you mumble at each other,
Yeah,
and
I
Munch
know.
is being like, there's already enough words and enough lifetime. It's like, okay, Munch, stop being weird and cryptic. We know you're 500 years old. You don't have to. You don't have to act like this. Just staying with the other people, eating pancakes. Munch is such a weirdo, and he's still a weird part of this show to me. It doesn't really like fully come together in my head yet, but maybe we'll get there. Like, we do still have some time to go.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like now that he's been paid, it's sort of like what purpose does he now still have? Like the only reason he's going to be brought back is because Gator's, messing around and finding out.
Yeah, it just I know that he needs to ensure that nothing else bad happens to his family with Munch, but if you're wasting this time, taking care of Munch you're not really paying attention to the other possible enemies that are coming your way. And that's the thing that will ultimately, in my opinion, tinfoil hat and all, be
Mhm.
Roy's undoing here, is that I think he's used to getting rid of one problem at a time, because it's not like he is sheriff of a big city. He's
Mhm.
of a fairly rural area where I think he's been able to sort of handle things because he can compartmentalize it. He can just send various people out to do his dirty work. Now he's got multiple law enforcement agencies. He's got Dot, who we certainly have seen, she's not exactly just going to roll over and die.
Nope.
Lorraine, who's got way more money than he does. Like, yeah, sure, he may be able to sort of exploit things with his family, with his father-in-law, with whoever else, but that's not going to offset the amount of money that Lorraine has.
No.
I just think that eventually everybody is going to slowly be turned against him. And this is my own sort of just pipe dream scenario, but I'm still waiting for when Gator gets just turned against him. And that's going to be the end of the season. I want that to happen so bad. I'm going to be so disappointed if it doesn't.
I don't see it happening. If it's happening, they're not setting it up yet. Like, yeah, Gator is getting pushed down by his dad, but seemingly from the way the show has been set up, that's been happening Gator's entire life, and he just wants his dad's approval. And why would that change now?
Gator, if you turn on Roy,
Oh dear.
you can have my approval.
Oh.
I know that won't. I don't know if that's going to matter as much as your father's approval, but you can make a lot of us happy. I just want to see him. I want to see Roy as miserable and sad as humanly possible.
I just want to see those piercings get pulled by the end of the season. I say it every video. I will say it till the end. If they do not get pulled out, then I'm going to be real mad.
We are people of simple hopes here at the channel. All we want are to see piercings removed and to see his son betray him. Is that too much to ask? Okay, no, we'll wrap up this video now. Rest assured, we're going to have a big Dot story coming up soon on Fargo. So hit that subscribe button so you do not miss our take on that. Also, thank you to our patrons for your support. We really appreciate that, and we'll see you here next time.